Good morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you see this. This is Dee with INFP-A Assertive Insights, and today I'm going to be talking about why I love the INFJs, the things I love about INFJs, and how we can enhance our interaction with them. So, for you, this is a channel about everything INFP based on my professional and personal experience, which does include my observational research online and in the real world. So yes, what I love about the INFJs. Number one, and there are a lot of things. I mean, there are a lot of things I really do love. That probably my favorite personality type to be around. Number one, I'm going to say is that I don't think INFJs are supposed to be the rarest personality type of the 16 with 2%. They will tell you that's one thing INFJs like to be. People want to be an INFJ because they want to be rare, particularly if they are younger. And yes, I've seen typing videos where I wanted to be an INFJ. We're 2% of the population. Well, I run into them all the time, particularly the last few years, so I'm doubting that, or either we're magnets. So maybe that's one reason I love the INFJ. They come into my life really easily. No, but the first thing is something that I haven't heard talked about at all, and it may be one of our secrets, is that we can talk about spirituality. Now, I say spirituality, and people are going to think religion, or they're going to think something that's common. No, I'm talking about INFJs can really go to all kinds of places. We're talking about aliens and the Palladians and Curians and transfer portals and all kinds of stuff. That I had to really dig deep. I knew a little bit about it, but I had to really dig deep to do research to find out what one INFJ I got close to did open up, let me get close to a little bit about, and alternatives for healing. Another one was into Native American spirituality. We talked all about that, which I'm more familiar with and more in tune with. So yeah, the alternatives I like to do, as I say, I'm an intuitive. I get downloads. I know things without knowing them. I try to shut that energy down because it's draining. But for me, in the last year or two, I used to read tarot. I listen to it once in a while. So we do the alternative things deeper than general. I'm not talking about Star Trek and that type of stuff. I'm not talking about science. I'm talking about really deep into metaphysics. INFJs like to go there. I think that's a little bit of secret. We used to talk about one I had talked to the most every day for a couple of years, actually. Used to talk about she was going to go to the doctor, and she is actually a doctor and doesn't like Western medicine. She was going to go to a doctor, and we were talking about some things she'd like to try, but that had to do alternative healing. So she said, well, it's something you just can't go to the doctor and discuss. And we were discussing about how odd and funny it is that you can't really go to a doctor and discuss what we believe that will work. And I know with my own healing, that has helped me finding someone who believes all this kind of stuff, because I'm going back to my grandmother and the root doctors and whatnot, and people can say, oh, that's voodoo, that's witchcraft, that's whatever. There are negatives, there are shadow sides to everything, there are light sides to everything. But yeah, I don't want to take too long for any of these videos. So if you are an INFJ, you probably know what I'm talking about. If you're an INFP who is very intuitive, like my intuition is the highest of any of my 4 dominant functions, which is in the 80s some percentile. So, yeah, I was thinking astro travel. That's what I was trying to think. And portals and going to all these different dimensions. That's beyond my pay grade. But yeah, that's one thing I really, really, really love about an INFJ. They, if you get them to trust you enough, they will talk about that. And it's just very natural conversation. It flows very easily. That's another thing I like about an INFJ. The conversation does flow easier than with any other 16 personality types for me. And because I think I like a little bit of a challenge. I think INFJs, we get bored easily. So, and I mean INFPs, we INFPs get bored easily, and INFJs get bored easily too. So we can keep each other engaged, which is good in a good flow. The next thing I really, really love about an INFJ is that they have a knack for the INFP anyway, and for this INFP anyway, they have a knack for bringing out the more tender side, the kindness side. And I know people are saying, probably listening to this, that are INFPs, like, well, INFPs are kind. I see the videos. INFPs are very kind people. INFPs are very whatever. We are with an edge. If you are an INFP, you know what I mean. I've been called edgy. We're very kind, go with the flow until you tick us off. But and then we do get edgy. We can get edgy, and that is probably from our inferior. I call it inferior feeling. I call it internal feeling. It's all about us first, and then we think about how others feel second. Whereas INFJ is totally different. They have external feeling. So and they don't mind. So they think about harmonizing with the world first, and think about themselves on secondary level. It's more of a harmonizing. I just saw a video from an INFJ about what they liked about INFP, and they talked about INFPs want to harmonize with the world. I'm laughing because I laughed at it. I don't think we want to harmonize with the world, our internal world. Yet, not sure about harmony with the exterior world as much. Not as much as an INFJ, but INFJ will call out in a nice way. That's been done with me, but to see their side of like, it's not what I'm saying, it's in the delivery of how I'm saying it. Be kind, mindful. I learned that word mindful from an INFJ. I should already know it, but I don't. Not something that was in my repertoire of things to know. So in the last few years, to be mindful of others and how others may feel first. So, and not to say to give up for an INFP, to give up who you are, but for me, I found it to be a good lesson. I'm not as stubborn as I was. I'm not as edgy as I was, unless you really tick me off, cross my red line. But yeah, it's there are two main things I really, really love about an INFJ. And this was going to be a 5-minute video, and it's going to be a little bit longer. But here we go with things that INFJs can do to improve their relationships with INFP, based on my my view. Number one is the word honesty. Now, I hear that everywhere, every video about an INFJ, particularly by an INFJ. INFJs say this all the time. And the ones I've known in real life, in the wild, have said this to me all the time. It's almost like they have to convince me that they're honest. Well, if you really are honest, you don't have to convince somebody. But I have found that INFJs are not honest in the way INFPs are honest, and that causes conflict. Because we're INFPs are authentic, and honesty is my number one thing. And each INFP has their own thing. Number one thing, nail scratcher on the chalkboard, irritant. And my irritant is, and red line is honesty, and I mean total honesty. What INFJs tend to do, around me anyway, that I've noticed and observed, is that they don't lie, and they think they're telling the truth. They tell half-truths. Now, half-truths, in my book and what I've read, my belief, my core value, half-truth and omission is also a lie. And omission is as much of a lie as commission. I don't think INFJs get this, or they adhere to it. They will tell half-truths. And I'm not saying that it's a half-truth as in they don't want to divulge something about themselves, because they are secret, just like an INFP is. It's, they will tell, I'll give an example. One INFP I met in the wild, became a friend. And the first time I met her, she was getting ready to retire, and I asked her what she was wanting to do in retirement. And we were looking for, and I was looking for a travel partner. So I'm looking for somebody to travel with. She knows that. We had a meetup. We did meet online, and I'm looking for somebody to travel with for that one specific purpose. And so we met for lunch, and she said she's getting ready to retire. She'll be able to travel, blah, 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 blah. Well, it went well. So I asked her what she, just out of curiosity, what she planned to do in retirement. She have any plans? And she said her plans were she said, I don't know, I think I'm going to volunteer. And I said, that's fine. And she gave me some ideas of a couple of places she'd like to volunteer. General ideas of kind of like museums and that kind of thing. She wanted to volunteer. And I said, well, okay. And then we continued having lunch, continued contacting each other on a daily basis. She had me plan a trip to Savannah. We're in North Carolina. We're planning a trip to Savannah. Didn't get any dates or anything. And we went this far on this. And here, okay. Then all of a sudden, she's moving across country. And I thought, okay, well, and then I thought, well, you're moving cross country, and we've just spent months on this thing about we're going to be travel buddies, at least to go to Savannah, at least. Yeah, so that was her illusion, I guess. But so I found out the last time we had lunch right before she moved to go cross country, and we had a nice long lunch. And then during that long lunch, she revealed to me that she had sold her house before we met. And she was allowed by the new owner to rent her house until now. And I'm putting INFPs put puzzle pieces together, so she neglected to tell me when I asked her what she wanted, initially what she wanted to do in retirement. This moving cross country didn't come up. And she had already sold her house at that point. That's a lie. She was misleading me. Misleading at the very least. That is not honest. And I got totally ticked off. I didn't say anything to her about it, but we are not friends anymore. We're Facebook friends, but we don't speak anymore. Because that went over my line, because that is a lie. The second one where I was really big, and I was hurt by that too, because I wouldn't have wasted my time all these months and planning a trip. We don't have that much energy either. Why is she doing that? INFJs out there, why would somebody do that? Just lead me on to that point and say over and over how honest they are. This is not honest. There's some deceit in here. Another one example would be someone was telling me, they're not nearby where I could go check on them, that the one that does astral travel and all that, that was really interesting. That's why I continued talking with her. But for that reason, she's the only one I've ever met in my life I could really talk to about the other world, outer worldly things to that extent, and it really dived deep into that, and have it be normalized. But she's out of state, and she has some health issues, and she was telling me how pitiful she was, and this was going wrong, that was going wrong. I mean, like physically, and how she couldn't live by herself anymore, and she got me really feeling bad about it. And I put myself in her shoes, and I felt bad, and I was more drained. And here I'm trying to get over COVID, and she's dumping what it turned out to be dumping on me. So make a long story short about that, this went on. We talked for 2 years every day. Well, this went on like for a year, the dumping part. In the beginning, she was really cool. But then the dumping started, and I found out from a download, and then I did research online to verify the download, that she has somebody living with her. She is not alone. So I confronted her with that in not so nice terms, about her lying to me. And her response was, well, all you had to do was ask. I thought it wasn't even in my wheelhouse. You had somebody living with you. But to her it wasn't lying because, number one, they don't get along, she said. They have nothing in common, and I think that was the reason. That was her justification for not telling me she was living with anybody. Oh, she really is alone because they don't have a lot in common. BS. So that's one thing I don't like about INFJs, and I know this is just a small sample of 2, but I have a feeling that it goes along with a lot of INFJs. I'm not being overly critical, not trying to be, but I think that type of thing, I think it's done not with bad intentions. I don't think there was malice behind it. I think that's just the FE, the harmonizing with the world and telling people what they want to hear. I think that's what they tell people, what they want to hear. I think it goes along fine with the other 15 personality types. I don't know about other INFJs, but it doesn't go well with an INFP who values authenticity as the number one thing. So that could help. The second thing that could help is that you're safe with us. We understand that. We're quirky in the same ways. We're totally alike and we're totally different. That's what I like about it. We're mirror images of each other, I say. We can be a very great pair in any kind of situation if we understand that. So, INFPs can understand that INFJs are not going to be totally truthful. There's going to be something hidden. They're going to tell us what we think we want to hear. INFJs could do more about just cut to the chase. Don't tell us what you think we want to hear. Tell us what we want to hear. We can handle it. You're safe with us if you're authentic. You're safe with us, which I think scares an INFJ because they pride themselves, just like INFPs, pride themselves in not being understood. INFPs want to be validated, not understood, and INFJs want to be understood. So I hope it's not rambling, but that's one thing that could happen. And another thing that could help that I ran into with these same 2, I just have a sample of 2 that were really close. I have samples of other INFJs I have interacted with online that I really find charming. They can bring out the best in INFPs and get us to talk and say things that we normally wouldn't. That's uncomfortable, but I'll do it. And they have that knack for doing that. But the second thing I would just say real quick, and it sounds odd that an INFJ could understand this about INFP would help the interactions and relationship better would be that our need for aloneness. And I'll repeat that, and you heard it correctly. Our need for alone time. Now you say, well, INFJs say, well, I have a need for a long time. I understand a need for a long time. You don't understand INFP's definition of a long time. I think it comes from INFJ is the most social of the introverts, and INFPs are the most introverted of the introverts. So you have two very different things. And I'll give an example to both of these, my sample of two. Scientific sample of two according to D. And the same thing happened with both of them, and they don't know each other at all, but they're so similar in a lot of ways. When I went primitive camping in the mountains with my tiny house shell, and I loved doing that. Well, the first one, the Savannah group, one that moved cross country to retire, she would complain on the weekends that I had to go. I only went once a month, but I had to go. She kind of complained that I was going to be off grid for a few days. I did have to go, and I had to, I mean, it's like I was, either she was my mother or she was my partner. It was almost like that with her. It's like, why do you have to go? And I had to go and winterize the house for one thing to make sure everything's put up. In October, I winterized the house to make sure the snow and the rain, mostly snow stuff, critters, whoever can't get in during the winter time, and it's going to be okay, and shut it up, bring back my food, because I always kept a lot of food, extra clothes up there, bring it all back. I have to do that. So the first one, I was like, yes, you'll be fine. I'm only going to be gone like for 3 days. I'm thinking, gosh, why do I have to explain this? But yes, I need my alone time. With the second one, I remember sitting in my tiny house in the mountains. She didn't complain the first year or say anything the first year, a year or so. But it was like, she did complain the first day I met her, though, that I was going to go on a 2-week trip across country. She's like, do you have to go? And I'm like, I'm coming back. I'm coming back. I already had this trip planned before we met. I'm coming back. Why do you have to go? I just need my alone time. But when I went to the mountains in my tiny house, yeah. And I remember sitting on the floor in the tiny house thinking, gosh, I finally met someone, as a friend, finally met someone who understands my need to be this alone. And I thought it was great. I thought it was just greatest thing since sliced bread. I finally found somebody in my life. Here I am. Back then I was like 69, 70. Finally found someone. Well, after a year and a half or whatever, the last few months or so I had the house, she wasn't that understanding. It was like, oh, what am I going to do while you're gone? Because we talked every day. She wanted me to talk every day. That's a little bit too much for us. That's too much for us. We burn out. And if I didn't contact her for a day or two and then came back, which is what an INFP will do, we just leave. We come back, but we come back just like everything's fine. We have to recharge. And she was like, well, what happened to you? I thought you were in a car accident in the ICU. And I'm like, well, that's a little bit over the top. So yeah, I'm just giving those examples and getting along. But that's another way that an INFJ can understand an INFP and get along a little bit better. Our need for a long time is a lot more alone than your need for a long time. We really mean it. I mean, we'll go off grid. We'll go wherever we need to go, to the edges of the earth, the flat earth. We'll hang by one pinky on the flat earth to get away from people for a few days. Just let us do that and don't question it. We'll be back. I'll be back. I'll tell you when I'm coming back. Everything's fine. So that's just something I could go on forever, but that's just some things I wanted to say, and this is way longer than I needed to have it. It's going to be a 10-minute video, but I see this series is not going to be 10 minutes. If you have comments, be kind with your comments. I will delete them. That applies to INFPs also. It's INFP free zone, safe zone, but it means INFPs need to be respectful also, including myself. I've been deleted from some people's, I noticed that. I'll just add this in. I have been deleted comments from other people's sites. YouTube comments. I won't, so I'm not making comments on anybody's YouTube sites. I don't know if it's YouTube AI doing it or the creator doing it. But yeah, okay, I'm a little bit edgy. I won't do that. So comments are welcome. If you are an INFJ, what can INFPs do to better understand and make the flow go for longer? Because what happens a lot of times, I think, with this combination, INFP, INFJ, the longer that we are together, the more often that we are together, the deeper that we peel the layers off. I know some people don't like to hear that, peeling layers of an onion off. The deeper we get, the closer we get, we tend to, and a lot of this has to do with attachment styles. I won't get into that, but we tend to door slam. This is the 2 of the 16 personality types that door slam. INFPs and INFJs both door slam, and it tends to happen when I'm trying to avert it. I think I'm trying to avert it for the whole big world, and for me the next time I meet an INFJ in the wild. So hope you enjoyed it. Look for the other ones that I appreciate being around whenever I get around to doing it. So until next time, everybody, stay safe.